This is Carl at National RV Detroit, and I'm going to be walking you through this 2020 Salem model 27RE. Okay, I'm on the door side of the trailer walking towards the rear. Alrighty, so here we are. Let me look down here for 1 second so I can get oriented here. Okay, so you have scissor stabilizer jacks. Now these are take a crank or a 3/4 inch socket drill attachment which comes with it, so you can use your electric drill to zip them up and down. Now these have an added feature called a strong arm. This strong arm will stabilize it forward and rearward movement, so it'll take some more wiggle out of it even. So basically this T-handle here is also used to tighten the inner tube here. So what you'll do is with this loose, you'll crank this down to the stabilized position. You don't lift the trailer, you just take the shake out of it. Then you'll tighten these up. There's one on each corner, right? So that will stabilize it. Now before you bring it back up, you're going to loosen it. So you always have it loose going up and down, and you'll just tighten it when it's in the down position. You want to stabilize the trailer. All right? Okay. So you have an awning on your slide room, another awning here. They're both power awnings. Let me look down here so I can see what we got down here. Okay, let me see here. I want to give you all good information, so I better take a look, huh? Yep, okay, good enough. All right, so 2 awnings. Your steps fold into the trailer. We're still prepping your trailer right now. We just got it a couple hours ago, so it's still dirty, but we're working on it for you. These fold right into the trailer. They're very stable. Keep in mind that if you're on uneven terrain, you can adjust the length of the legs. You just pull this pin out here. There's one on each side, and then slide the legs up and down till they're in the right length to adapt to the terrain, and you're all set. Okay. Now you have outside speakers, and you have some power here to plug whatever you want to plug in. Like I said, you have the same setup with the strong arms on each corner. They work the same. I told you that you could crank the stabilizer with this drill attachment, which is right there. This small crank is for the tongue jack. You have a power tongue jack, but if it was ever to fail, you can flip this cap up and put that crank on there and crank it manually, so you can get yourself out of trouble. Now this other thing here has to do with getting yourself out of trouble with the awning. So it's something you'd have to read about in your manuals while you're doing it, or look at the online video, but it'll just help you out if you ever have issues with your awning. They're very reliable. It's very rare that you would, but just in case. You got 2 30-pound LP tanks, a deep cycle marine battery. This is a kill switch for the battery right here. The reason you would want to kill the battery is when you put it in storage, even if you shut all the lights out, the carbon monoxide detector, for example, the LP gas detectors are hardwired to the battery, so it'll still draw power. This way you can put it into storage and shut off the battery. Otherwise you leave that on, because your tow vehicle charges the trailer, and so does the power converter, so you always want it on unless you're in storage and not using the trailer. Alright, this is your water heater from the outside. This one works on both gas and electric. So for electric, you have a switch here in the lower left hand corner. Hopefully you can see it with the sun the way it is, but it's right there. It's off. What that does is, behind this cover here is an electric heating element. So that switch operates the heating element. So to turn it on, you're just going to flip the switch on. Normally you're going to use the electric heating feature because you're paying for the electricity at the campground, and if you use the LP, it'll guzzle up your propane. Now if you want a quicker recovery, you can flip on the propane. Like if 3 people are going to use the shower and in a row, you need to get faster recovery. Well, then you can use the gas, but generally speaking, you would just turn the electricity on and leave it. Always make sure there's water in the tank before you turn it on. You have to always make sure, because if you run it dry, you'll burn out the heating element, and if you run the gas, you'll damage the tank. So it's got to have water in it. Also, one more thing, this is how you drain it right here. This is the drain plug. It takes an 1/16" socket. All right, that's just your furnace vent and some makeup air. All right, so here we are at the dump valves. Okay, let's do it this way. You have, let me count and see what we've got here. You've got 2 gray tanks on this one. One of them they're going to refer to as a galley tank, which is just a kitchen gray tank basically. So it's for the kitchen sink. So you see the gray handles here, and then you see the black handle. These are open right now. Let me see if I can get closer to close them for you. There you go. So that's closed. All right, so when you're ready to dump your tanks, you'll put the hose on here for your black and gray tank. You got another one for the galley gray tank. So anyway, we'll just deal with these 2 right here. So you're going to put the hose on here, put the other end in the dump station. Then you're going to dump the black first. All right. The black tank holds toilet water and waste. So it's the dirtiest of the, as water goes, it's the dirtiest. The gray tank is sink and shower water, so you're going to dump that second because it's cleaner dirty water than the black tank water, so it'll help to clean your hose out a bit. All right. So then you can close your gray, but leaving the black valve open, you can come right to here, which is the black tank flush. You can put your hose there, the hose at the dump station right on there. But like it says on the sticker, always have this valve open when you turn the water on, because you don't want too much pressure to build up. But basically what happens is this will spray the inside of your black tank. It cleans off your sensors really good, and it'll just clean out the black tank, so you got a cleaner black tank and the sensors are degunked. So that's a technical word, degunked. So you get a good reading on your monitor panel, okay? All right, and that, of course, you dump the other ones separately. These 2 things are just low points. That has to do with winterization. Now, getting back to the water heater for a second, if you winterize it yourself, you may know all this already, I don't know, but you have to bypass the water heater before you pump antifreeze in to winterize it. So if you're doing it yourself, you have to make sure you always bypass the water heater. There are valves on the back, and you need to bypass it before you pump any antifreeze in. All right. This is just satellite hookup. This one here is cable/satellite. Basically, it's campground cable through to the entertainment area. All right, so this is where you get your water into the trailer. Right here is the city water hookup. That's the most common way to do it. You're just going to put the hose on here. You're going to turn on the water. It's going to pressurize your trailer. You're ready to go. Now, if you go to a campground that does not have plumbing on the campsite, you have a freshwater tank built into the trailer, and you could fill it right here. So you would basically fill it ahead of time and then carry the water with you up to the campsite, and then you can just pump it with your electric pump, and it works just like you have city water. So you can use everything, all the plumbing in the trailer, but you're using onboard water. 9 times out of 10 you use the city water feature. All right, so this housing just says you're pre-wired for a backup camera. It takes a Furrion camera that fits in there. We do sell them here if you're interested. You can talk to our parts people. Basically, when you turn on the running lights, it'll light up the camera so you can see behind you when you're backing up or driving down the road if you want. Also, while we're looking up, you have to inspect the roof of this trailer and every other trailer at least 3 times a season. So in the spring, in the fall, and once in the middle of the summer, you have to go up on the roof, have somebody else go up there if you can't do it. You walk around, you look at all the sealant on the roof and make sure it's good and tight with no cracks. Sometime when you go up there, you're going to see some separation starting. It happens with all trailers, and you get it taken care of. If you do that, your trailer will be bone dry inside for decades. If you don't, eventually water will get in, because trailers have to be resealed. You don't know when, that's why you inspect it regularly to just get ahead of the game, so you can take care of it. All right, I hope that made sense to you. This late in the day I tend to ramble, so okay, this is your panel here for your water levels and your slides and various functions. So here we go. Your battery is charged, but always check it when you're not plugged in. Fresh water has got 2/3 in there because we're water testing it still. Your black tank is empty. You can see it graduates up in 1/3 increments as it fills. Right, I get a little closer, maybe you can see that. Yes. Gray number 1 and your galley tank, which is the second gray tank, it's just your kitchen sink gray tank. Those are both empty. So figure once you start getting past 2/3 with your gray and black tank, you gotta start thinking about dumping it. All right. I mentioned you can light it on gas from in here. I showed you the electric switch in the lower left-hand corner outside. This is the gas switch. You just go like that. Always make sure there's water in the tank before you turn it on or light it. All right, and this is let's see here. Let me get this right here. Okay, here's the water pump. I told you could pump your own water. You'll also use this water pump to winterize the trailer. But mainly you'll use it to pump water if you go to a campground that does not have plumbing on the campsite. Okay, your slide out here, right here. Also, you have another slide room here, and your awning. Let me turn some lights on here. And let me look here so I get my bearings straight here. Your second awning. So I'm trying to make sense of this. So this one has the awning that's closer to the front. Let's go this way. Yep, so you can see that one working. You just send it out basically. It goes out 8 feet. You'll be able to see the awning tube when it's all the way out. That's how you know you're all the way out. Never leave the awnings out unattended. If you're not at the campsite, you want to crank it in. Otherwise, you can damage it in an instant with the wind whipping up. So it happens really fast. So you got to really keep it in unless you're at the campsite. All right. To extend the other awning, you'll see the arm going out down there if you can see it. That's it right there. Okay. Same rule applies about keeping it in when you're not at the campsite. So this one here for the slide room is that slide there. I'll bring it in just a little bit. Comes in over the floor, as you can see. And when I go back out, it'll go out and drop into place. Okay. As soon as you hear that ratcheting sound, you take your finger off the button. Okay. And this operates the other slide out, which is right here. So the same thing applies with the ratcheting sound on the other slide also. Okay? Alrighty, let's see what we got here. This couch jackknifes flat to turn into a bed. This one does the same thing. So you got 2 jackknife couches that turn into beds. The dinette booth here, you can pull the 2 poles out underneath and drop the tabletop down onto these cleats here, right? And fill in the space. You can make that into a bed. So there's another one. Your sound bar, everything has a remote also, by the way. But your sound bar it has 2 zones. Inside is zone 1, outside is zone 2. You can stream off a USB drive. You can put all your favorite albums on one drive and take them all with you and do it that way. It's got a radio built in also. Plus it's got Bluetooth, so you can stream wirelessly with your phone or tablet. You can stream music or video, whatever you want to do. And it will go to a TV set. There's a backer plate here, so you can hang a TV in there. If you get a swing out bracket, spend the extra money and get one that locks into place when it's closed or retracted. That way you don't have to use a strap on it. It's unsightly, and it's better to just have one that locks in place. All right. So, and this is also an HDMI in. So if you wanted to use a portable Blu-ray player or a game machine for rainy days for kids or grandkids that with a built-in player, you could set it right here and plug it in, obviously, and you can go straight into the system this way. Okay, so there's a lot you can do with it. You have to read the directions to get all the features, but that's the highlight. Also, the fireplace, it's a space heater. It's got a fan on it, so it'll high and low fan, and so it'll really kick out the air, the heat. You can adjust the appearance of the flame. It's got a timer, so there's a lot you can do with it. It works really well when let's say you're up at night or early in the morning, and it's not cold enough to run the furnace. So if you're just all sitting around here, you can just crank up the heater here, the fireplace, and it'll take the chill out of the air, warm things up, and you don't have to use up your propane. So it's a good thing because you're paying for the campground electricity anyway. So that's a good thing. This is where you would hook your TV up to right here. Okay. All the lights that don't work with a master switch have a button in the middle. All right. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Okay, we're moving down. This microwave works like any other microwave. The fan on the vent hood, right there. You got a light. Okay. Your range, I think I've got the, what is this, a Furrion? I think I've got the gas on. Let's see here. I'm getting a weird glare here. Hopefully you can see this. See right there it lit. It's hard to see from that angle. Here, let me try the front one. You can see it better maybe. So I'm going to turn the front burner on. Then I'm going to turn this to the right. And right there it lit. So it's that simple. You just turn this clockwise. Now the oven, you have to light it before you use it each time. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the oven knob to the pilot picture, the picture of the flame. Then you're going to depress it. While depressed, you'll spark this by turning it clockwise. And on the bottom shelf there, all the way to the back, there's a pilot light. When you see that pilot light light, you still hold this in for another 10 or 15 seconds to heat it up. And after it's heated up, you'll go to the operating temperature you want to go to. Right there, it cycles on and off like an oven does. But when you shut it off, the flame goes out obviously, but so does the pilot light. So you have to relight the pilot light each time you use the oven. Always make sure you have your cover down when you're traveling, or otherwise it tends to break. This refrigerator works on 12 volts DC, so it's a it's got a 12 volt compressor inside, so that means when you're pulling it, the alternator from your tow vehicle and the battery will keep it running. When you're at the campground, your power converter will also keep it running. So I can't remember if I told you about the power converter. I'm going to say that I didn't. If I did, please bear with me. I'm going to go through it again. But we're late in the day here and I'm getting slap happy here. So, all right, so what this device does, looks like that closed. It converts 110 volts AC down to 12 volts DC. All right, so it has regular household circuit breakers here. Let me get that in the picture. And they're labeled, so you recognize those. You have the same kind in your house. So this is the AC side of it. Then it converts the power down to DC, and those are 12 volt fuses there. And they're all labeled also. So if any of these fuses were to blow, they'll light up and you can see them through this tinted plastic here, right there. I'm being a lousy cameraman here, sorry, I gotta pay attention. Also this will charge your battery. It'll keep your battery charged as long as you're plugged in to shore power. So it's also a battery tender, all right? And it will make 12 volts out of the 110 AC to run the compressor on your refrigerator. The shower works like any other shower. The vanity sink is like any other vanity sink. Keep in mind that all the plugs in this trailer are wired through a GFCI. So even if you don't see the GFCI style on the plugs, it's still wired through one. So if you're using the plug outside for a coffee pot or something that was to pop, you'll reset it right here because all of them are protected with a GFCI. Alright, so the toilet. The only thing that you have to remember, the most important thing to remember, is you can't use it dry or without chemical. This one flushes. There's a pedal right there. So you step on the pedal, and there you go. This is just residual water pressure from water testing it. So what you do, just to show you this, the black tank is right down there. So just so you know. Okay? So when you get to the campground, you pull into the campsite, you stabilize your trailer, you hook up the power and the water. Then you come in here and you take whatever chemical you're using, you read the directions to find out what a dose is, and you put a dose right in there. Then you step on the pedal, water comes swirling out, and you're going to put about a gallon or two of water in the tank. There's no way to tell that by looking at a monitor panel. You just use common sense. Yeah, that's about a gallon right there, okay? So you have to have a little bit of water in there plus chemical in order to use it. Then you would just keep using it like you normally would. But when, let's say you're going to stay at the same campground and you had to dump your black tank. You're still going to stay another week. So after you dump the black tank, because you're staying on the campground, you would come back in here and repeat that procedure. Chemical and a gallon or two of water. Also, when you flush it, it defaults about up to here. People generally want more water in it, so there's a spot here. I don't know if you can see it, but you can open the valve for the water without opening the trap there. And so just by pushing the pedal a little bit, you can fill this up as high as you want before you use it. You just have to do that each time. Also, you always want to run the fan, there's the switch there, when you're using the shower, because you don't want the moisture to build up in the trailer, so you want it to vent outside. Alright. I believe I told you this is a carbon monoxide and LP gas detector. Maybe I didn't tell you that. It should always be green like that. So basically, I'll set it off for you so you can hear it. These are self-tests. That was for LP. The next one was for carbon monoxide. And then back to green. So it should always be green like that. Otherwise, get it serviced. And if it beeps very slowly, it's telling you that your battery's low. But so if it goes off with that alarm that you just heard, you're going to gather everybody up, get them outside, obviously. Shut the gas off at the front, and then figure out what's going on. Alright? And if it's not green, you get it serviced. This is very important. Okay, so I think I've pretty much covered everything. In this packet here, you have a manual for every appliance in this trailer. Plus, there are plenty of online videos by the manufacturers for each appliance you can refer to. One last thing, just because you might wonder what it is, where it says it's pre-wired for Wi-Fi here. There's also a panel on the roof for an antenna. This is basically for a signal booster and router. It's just telling you it's pre-wired. If you're interested in anything like that, we sell them, but you can also go to kingconnect.com, I think is the website right there, and you can look at the different products. But it basically boosts public Wi-Fi. You would hook all your devices up to your router, and then all you would do is have to hook the router up to the outside campground Wi-Fi or public Wi-Fi wherever you're at. And it's got a really good signal booster. There would be an antenna on the roof, for example. So, okay. Also, see, I told you I was done in here. I'm not even finding new stuff here. To operate the heating and cooling, you just once to light it up. Then you scroll through. That's the fan. Always try to use auto. There's cool, which is air conditioning. So there's a lag time. The air conditioning auto. Just listen. So that took about 5 or 6 seconds before the AC kicked on. It'll do the same thing going off. There's always a lag time. Also, I can keep going, and that would be the furnace, right? And then off. You can see I shut it off, but it's still running. If you can hear it, now it's shut off. So there's always a lag time. Keep that in mind. All right, now I think we're done. Okay. All right, so I'm going to thank you for purchasing your trailer from National RV Detroit. And remember what I told you, you have to inspect the roof at least 3 times a season. That's every trailer ever built. And also, you always want to bypass your water heater. Just coincidentally, our guy left here. I was going to sign off again, and here I go again. See, he left this open, but you can see this is the back of the water heater, and there are valves. Those are the valves that you'll have to use in order to bypass it. It's very simple. If you may know all this already, but if not, and you're a handy type of person, you could do it yourself or have it done. But that's where the bypass valves are. All right. Also, this is the escape window. Here, I thought I was done here. Okay, that's the escape window. You would just push it through like that and grab a hold of this tab and yank out the screen, and out you go. This will work for emergencies and also for bill collectors. It's very important. They would bang on this door here, and you could go right out the window. So it works very good for that too. This is another hookup for a TV. See, this right here is the reason it's green. It's the signal booster for the digital antenna. It should be on like that if you're using the antenna, but you can hook up to here, power here, and there's a backer to hang a TV backer here. This one, you could just use it doesn't have to swing, but you would want it to pitch like this so you can get the proper attitude when you're looking at it laying in bed there. So, okay, so I think we've done it this time. So, like I said, you have to inspect the roof and you have to bypass the water heater. And like I started to thank you for purchasing this trailer from National RV Detroit. So I'll do that again. And I'll tell you the secret to owning a trailer is to use it a lot. You got to plan ahead and make sure you use it a lot. And that's the key to camping happiness. So thank you very much and goodbye.